That's better. Man, that last chapter was rough. This at-home working is pretty challenging, but I trimmed all the white off, so now I'm good. Chapter 12, let's see where Mark goes with this. We're reading Way of the Warrior Kid, where there's a will. Heard a little bit about that word ego. I want y'all to think about that as we read this next chapter and how we can keep our egos in check. I stayed up late thinking about everything Uncle Jake had told me. I knew he was right. It all made sense. But then in the morning when we were working out, he told me something that seemed crazy. As I was doing pull-ups, I heard Uncle Jake come closer to me. So that arm really wasn't really even hurt at all, was it? Not really, Uncle Jake. Mark getting after it with his pull-ups. You need to apologize to Danny and Coach Adam, he said gravely. What? I asked, knowing that this would make me look horrible. I said you need to apologize to Danny and Coach Adam for faking the arm injury, for causing drama, for making Danny feel bad about hurting you and making Coach Adam worry. You need to apologize. But I stuttered as I started to try and figure out how I was going to get out of this one. But what? Uncle Jake interjected. You lied. There's no excuse for lying. When you don't tell the truth, it will always come back to haunt you. And lying is disrespectful to others and will destroy any level of trust you can have with a person. Being trustworthy is one of the most important characteristics a person can have. On that battlefield, you have to trust people, the people you work with. And if you lie, it can get people killed. Do you understand that, Mark? Yes, Uncle Jake, I do. I felt horrible. Of course, my parents had told me that lying was bad, but I never really realized how truly awful it was to lie. Good. Now you need to apologize to them both tonight at practice. That was it. When Uncle Jake got that tone of voice, there was no getting around it. Yes, Uncle Jake, I will, even though I hated the thought of it. We kept working out and I didn't say anything else. As I worked out, I thought about everything that happened. And the more stuff started to make sense. First of all, I should not have told a lie. It made me feel awful. And I also started to realize that it was my ego again that was making me not want to apologize. My ego didn't want to admit that I had lied. My ego didn't want me to look stupid and untrustworthy. So I didn't want to say anything. It says, you're letting your ego get the best of you. When we finished working out, Uncle Jake looked at me with a serious expression. You are going to become friends with Danny, right? Yeah, I am, Uncle Jake. I responded, knowing that was what I had said I would do. Do you know what makes people friends? He asked. They hang around each other? I responded, thinking that's what made me friends with Nathan and Kenny. No, Uncle Jake replied. That's not it. Friends trust each other. To build trust, you tell the truth, even if it hurts your ego. That's what you have to do tonight. Okay, I told him. That night when we got to jiu-jitsu, I walked into the academy. Coach Adam had a surprised look on his face. I didn't expect to see you for a few days, he said. I figured your arm was hurt pretty bad. I looked to the ground, then over to Uncle Jake. Uncle Jake just nodded at me, his way of saying it was time for me to tell the truth. I took a deep breath. I didn't get hurt, Coach Adam. What? Coach Adam replied with a puzzled look on his face. I'm not hurt, I said again, and I didn't get hurt yesterday. Well then, what were the yell and the ice pack and the holding all about? Coach Adam asked in a pretty frustrated tone. I faked it, Coach Adam. You faked it? Coach Adam exclaimed. Yes, I did, Coach Adam. I'm sorry. Let me guess. You didn't want Danny to tap you out with that move. Yes, he's tapped me out before, but I didn't know what he was doing was a real move. And I have been training, and I've tapped him a few times too, and well, ego, Coach Adam said. That's your ego. Uncle Jake nodded his head. Yes, it is, Coach Adam. Uncle Jake explained what ego is to me, and this was definitely my ego getting the best of me. That's a shame. I hope you can put your ego in check, because if you and Danny train together and actually help each other, you will both get a lot better very quickly. You need to be pushing each other, and you need to keep your ego off the mat. I will, Coach Adam, I told him. I will. And you need to apologize to Danny. He felt really bad and believed that he had hurt you. I will, Coach, I said. Yes, you will, Coach replied. Then he looked over on the mat where Danny was warming up and yelled, Danny, come over here. Danny jogged off the mat and came over to where we were standing. Mark has something he want to tell you, Danny, Coach said. I'm really sorry about your arm, Mark. I didn't mean... It's okay, Danny. I cut him off. He didn't need to apologize to me. I needed to apologize to him. Danny, I actually need to apologize to you. He looked at me very confused. You see, you didn't hurt my shoulder at all. Mark facing the music. I didn't? Danny asked. No, you didn't. I wasn't hurt. I just pretended to be hurt so I didn't have to tap. I didn't think that what you were doing was real move, and I was embarrassed and didn't want to tap out. So I just yelled and pretended to be hurt. That was the wrong thing to do, and I'm sorry. Danny kind of smiled. Only this time it seemed like he was truly being nice. It's okay. There are times I don't like to tap either. I'm just glad you're okay because you're really good at jiu-jitsu, and I want to keep training with you. I was surprised. Danny was still being nice to me, even though I had lied to him and made him feel bad for thinking he had hurt me. Now that I had started to understand my ego and get it under control, I realized how jealous I had really been of him. And I realized that he hadn't been the problem, I had been. Thanks, Danny. I am really sorry, and I want to keep training with you. And I don't care if you tap me out or not. It'll just help me learn. Uncle Jake smiled at me. That's exactly what I think, Danny said. All right then, boys. Enough talking, Coach Adams said. Get out there and train. Danny and I walked out to the mat, shook hands, and started training. And even if I didn't beat Danny, I knew that I was at least beating my ego. All right. Next chapter, it's 13.